Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Yes, it's true. I am in. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, the president and founder of USA Global TV and Radio. And our show today is Loving Longevity. I love this topic. And joining me is a true dynamo when it comes to longevity. Her name is Annie Bush. And if you missed it, you must go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV. Annie was a guest on A Woman's Prerogative, and we were discussing stem cells. So please go take a look. She added a lot of value. Let's bring her out. She's a holistic longevity strategist. Welcome, Annie, and then we'll bring out our guest.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us, or welcome back. We are here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, I was on A Woman's Prerogative. And yes, we had an amazing discussion about stem cells and aging and about longevity. So yeah, definitely go over there and catch the replay on that on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, Annie. And you know, every time I see you week after week, you look like you're not aging. What is your secret, dear? Tell us.
Well, today what I want to talk about is genetics. And I am certified by 3X4 Genetics to do your DNA analysis. And why is this important? Well, Dr. Yael Jaffe, who is the Chief Scientific Officer at 3X4 Genetics, did an amazing seminar this past week on how genes affect your ability to lose weight. So I want to reach out today to any of you that have just struggled all your life with weight issues, and you exercise for hours and hours and hours in the gym, and you still can't get rid of that unwanted, unhealthy fat. You know, it may be your genes. There are almost 30 genes that can affect your ability to lose weight. There's one that even, it makes you ultra sensitive to bitter tastes. So you want to eat things that taste sweet because you kind of repel the bitter taste. There's genes there's one that we refer to as the buffet gene, that if you get in a situation where you're surrounded by food, you just can't help yourself. You lose kind of control. And there's so many other genes that really do affect your ability to lose that unwanted, that unhealthy fat. So if any of you are in that situation, just want to reach out, contact me, yourtotalbody@yahoo.com, and let's talk about getting your genetics done and finally getting those answers, because there are workarounds. There are solutions once you know what's in your genes.
Bravo, and thank you so much, Annie. That is a fabulous way of having us realize that it's more than just what we're putting in our mouth. We may be predestined. We need to figure out what we need to be doing.
Right. There's different levels of being predisposed. And, we need to get the stigma taken away from this. The judgment of when you're carrying around extra weight, character, especially with children. They get picked on and teased so horribly that this will provide the answers and some solutions.
Excellent. And you've brought another fabulous guest to the show. And I think many people over 50, people about to turn 50, start to literally freak out because all of a sudden their lives have changed. Maybe they're by themselves. Whatever happened during the pandemic, they're in another phase of their life. They're like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? And today we have someone who can really help us. Before we bring Greg out, how did you two connect?
Actually, he came to me through a referral through another person that had a podcast. And I was telling this woman, her name's PJ, what I was looking for. And she's like, you need to talk to Greg. So I was like, okay. And I got a hold of Greg and looked at his Forward from 50, and we connected a long time ago. It's just taken us this long to get him on the show. So I'm really looking forward to his stories and his coaching and his publication, which is 50 over 50 that we're going to talk about, this download. I have some amazing stories in it. So I'm looking forward to him sharing his stories today.
Fantastic. Well, without any further ado, let us welcome Greg Gerber. He is the founder of Forward from 50. He's a writer, editor, public speaker, journalist, author, and coach. Welcome, Greg, joining us from Arizona.
That's right, where the sunshine never stops. So thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You know, when we were backstage, and even now, you have this beautiful glow about you. You seem like such a positive person filled with energy and life.
Well, I appreciate that, but I wasn't that way all the time. I mean, I went through a very dark period a couple of years ago after I closed my business where I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I just, hard to get up in the morning. I'd sleep until 10 o'clock and then finally make breakfast and social media news for a couple of hours, go to lunch, take a nap in the afternoon, day after day after day. And it was killing me, literally, mentally and physically. And I was mentioning this to a mentor of mine a couple of last year, that this was a problem that I was having. And he said, I think there are a lot of people over the age of 50 who have the same problem and struggle with the same thing. And perhaps you could develop a platform to help those people. And the more I thought about it, it's absolutely true. Because once you develop a sense of purpose for your life after you turn 50, now you've got that reason to get up. It gives you more energy. It gives you an opportunity or reason to talk to other people. And it just gives you something excited about. It's rather fun.
Thank you. I love how someone said to you, you should start a platform. Bing, there it is.
There it is. That's right.
It wasn't that easy as that, though, right?
It was not. No, in fact, it's been a real challenge for somebody like me because technology has gone way beyond my ability. I was an early adopter to technology, 10, 20 years ago. I could handle all of this, but it's changed so much right now that, it's almost to the point where I have to have the grandchild show me how to make it work, right?
But that's okay.
That's right, exactly.
That's what that intergenerational learning is all about. You learning
Exactly.
from him and then him learning from you. It
Exactly.
just happened to be the technology for your platform. I think that's fabulous.
Yes.
And we had other guests on that talked about people in the blue zones and what the people in the blue zones all had in common. And one recurring theme was that they woke up every morning with a purpose.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I see that here in Sun City quite a bit. Sun City is the original retirement community in America. It was developed over 50 years ago, and people moved here and they developed all these recreation centers, et cetera, to keep people active. And that was very appealing to a lot of people, and a lot of people flocked here. And there are retirement communities all over this part of Arizona. And the problem is that recreation and leisure only takes you so far. It can help you detoxify, but it's really not enough to get you up and get you motivated day after day. I mean, just how much golf can you do, or how much fishing can you do in a day, and make it worth it, right? It sounds fun. When we're caught up in all of that working world kinds of thing, the 9 to 5 and, raising a family and all of that, the idea of just sitting at home and relaxing and golfing all day is very appealing. But I've seen a lot of people come down here thinking that's what they're going to do. And after they do it for a couple of months, they look around and they go, now what? Now what am I going to do? Is this all there is? There's got to be more to life than what I'm living right now. Then golfing, taking a nap, doing social media, going to the early bird discounts at the diner down the street, and then calling it a night and getting into bed by 6 or 7 o'clock at night and waking up at 5 in the morning and repeating the process. It's just
right. There's no brain stimulation there.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Or the brain stimulation is in the wrong way. They're focusing too much on like television news or doom scrolling through social media and things like that, which is only making people angrier and more frustrated. And just shut it off and find a purpose and work toward that.
So tell us about your publication, this 50 over 50. You're talking about all these people that found their purpose. Can you tell us about this publication? It's a download on your website.
That's
and then
right.
some of the stories that are in here.
Oh, sure, I can do that. Hang on just a second. I made a couple of notes for that. I developed this book as an opportunity because I think people want to have a purpose, but they don't know where to begin, or they don't think they have it in them anymore, that they're older now. And so the purpose is for people who are younger. And so what I did with this book, 50 over 50, is I did online research, and I interviewed a couple of people as well to find out who really made a difference in a different venue or different thing after they turned 50. And it might be volunteering, it might be running a business, it might be having a job, just whatever it is that they wanted to do. And I wanted 50 because, you know, you could do 20 and everybody says, yeah, of course they're going to be 20. But when you look at 50, that's a big number. And when you look at the people in that book who I had featured, you start to realize, well, if they can do that, maybe I can. Some of my favorites from that book, like Dave Bateman, who is a corporate attorney who bought a coffee farm in Hawaii in his late 50s. I mean, that's entirely different from what he was doing years before. A woman named Lynn Brooks, who founded Big Apple Greeters at age 56 in New York City, just because she wanted people to fall in love with the community she loved. And now that movement, the Greeters movement, has gone worldwide. Lorraine Campman was doing boring office jobs for many, many years. And then she finally decided she wanted to pursue her passion for music and helping people make their own music. And so that she developed this kind of thing where she takes portable music studios around to various places and teaches adults, usually us seasoned citizens, how to make our own music. Bill Cousins, after a lifetime of watching people die of cancer, he's decided he had enough. He didn't want to cure it. He wanted to obliterate it. And so he started a nationwide bike tour at the age of 62 to help raise money to fight and eradicate cancer. Steve Finn is a former police officer who started a ranch for struggling, often fatherless boys and teens. He saw the devastation that was causing them. As a police officer, he saw that in their lives, and he said, I'm going to try and make a difference, and that's what he did. One of my favorite stories is Lisa Gable. She was 70 years old, and she had a problem where her bra straps kept falling off of her shoulders. And so she developed a simple thing called a strap mate and turned it into a business that made $6 million and employed 30 people. I mean, it's just pretty incredible. Or Carol Gardner, she had a big bout of depression, and her therapist told her that she had to either go on medication or get a dog. So she got a dog, and she enjoyed that so much. Her dog was an English, I forget the exact breed, but she started taking funny pictures of him and turned it into an entire line of greeting cards called Zelda Wisdom. Ruth Handler is the inventor of Barbie. She created that doll for her own daughter many years ago, and it was very successful. But then she came down with cancer after she had turned 50, and she developed a product called the Nearly Me, a silicone implant that women have been using after that, and it's just transformed her life and the lives of other people. Randall Mitchell, he left Verizon to start a sewing business, and he waited for years. I mean, this is just most guys don't start sewing businesses, and he waited a number of years to do that. And then his purpose, all of a sudden, he's making 622 blankets for teenagers in Texas who are about to age out of the foster care system, and he's giving them away as gifts. I mean, Ernestine Shepard, she did not set a foot in a gymnasium until she was 52 or 56 years old, and later got in the Guinness Book of World Records as the oldest female bodybuilder at 85 years of age. I mean, there are just 50 examples of people like that who have pursued passionately a new purpose and new direction for their life. It was fun writing it, and I hope people enjoy reading it. Thanks.
I love it. Oh my gosh,
too.
the creativity that people came up with. It's
That's right. And that's the point. The whole point of Forward from 50 is to help people realize that they have unique skills, unique talents, and more importantly, unique life experiences that they can share with others and make a difference. And if I might say that, I think that's the key and often missing ingredient to purpose, is that it has to involve other people and serving other people some way. Because if your purpose is to get up and fish all day, unless you're fishing to feed other families and things like that, you're just doing it for recreation. It might be okay. It's acceptable. Lots of guys do it. But I just think that it's a stronger purpose if people are doing something they know is helping others.
Right. It's that giving back.
Correct.
Once we get, there's 50 people, there's 50 people that could be on this show and telling their stories.
Exactly. And the more I did,
we'll put you in charge, Greg. You'll bring them all in.
I'll bring them all in. Okay. I'll be the talent scout. But what was funny is, as I'm writing this and I'm continuing to do the research, I probably have enough people already that I've interviewed who I could do a sequel on that. It's almost another 50 people that I found who have done incredible things after they turned 50. So do not let age slow you down.
So it'll be 70 over 70.
70 over 70. That'll be next, right? Good idea.
Greg, I'm wondering during your interviews, because I think this is important for people who are watching or listening, did they share with you, or one example maybe of challenges that they faced that they had to overcome? Because I think that's the reason why people get stuck, because they come up with all the excuses about why they can't do it. And once, as business owners, once we start moving forward, we encounter challenges, but we learn from them and we keep going. So what are your thoughts about this?
Yes, the people that I highlighted in the book are folks that I did research for online. I didn't talk to them necessarily about their stories. It's just their stories I found out and I compiled them into the book. However, on Forward from 50, I have interviewed several dozen people who have also developed a unique purpose after they turned 50. And it all came generally out of a pain point that they were experiencing. I mean, Jim Akers is a guy that I know. He was a paper company executive, and he was having a phenomenal year. I mean, it was just setting records left and right. In fact, on Thursday, he said they were celebrating with his sales team about the great year that they had. And on Friday, somebody from the corporate office asked if he could meet with the CEO on Monday. The CEO flew in and fired him and all of the mid-level managers at that point. I mean, talk about out of the blue. Now the guy's struggling with what is his purpose going to be. He's kind of sinks into a little bit of depression and falls on his own resources and things like that. And eventually he comes out of it and becomes a coach and writes a book called Godfidence. So it goes beyond confidence. It's Godfidence in your skills that you have been naturally given and how to use them to go to develop and pursue your purpose. Another person that just by accident stumbled on this, John and Kathy Huggins. They were in their late 50s looking forward to retirement. And Kathy always wanted to camp. And they went out camping one week and spent 1 week in a tent in sleeping bags and air mattress on the ground. And they said, that's enough. I'm done. They bought an RV because it was just a much better deal for them. And they knew nothing about RVing at all. And what they did is they learned what they could and then taught others. They developed a platform called Living the RV Dream that turned into a phenomenal success. They had a podcast that attracting tens of thousands of people. They wrote a number of books about their experiences. And what's really interesting about their story is they only knew a little bit more than the other people, but they were willing to share what they learned. So they didn't have a purpose at the point in starting this platform to say, okay, look at what we've done and how great we are. We're just going to show you what we did. No, they're saying, we're learning this. Here's what we're learning. Maybe it'll help you as well. And I just love that because they're helping other people. And they aren't necessarily an expert in anything. They're admitting that they're just learning themselves, but they're willing to share. Betty Mills is one of my favorite people. She's a former human resources advisor for a number of years. And what she did as she got older in her 50s is she started mentoring young girls and teenagers to fall in love with horses. And she does this because the girls develop so much confidence in themselves and their own ability at a rather young age that they just go on and blossom in life as a result of that. Michelle Wiedenbenner, she took over the guardianship for a couple of her grandchildren after her own kids were struggling with addiction problems. And so their grandchildren came to live with her. And through that experience, she realized that other grandparents are in the same situation where they are not just grandparents, but they are serving as parents to their grandchildren. And she developed the Almighty Moms platform to help mothers connect with or to contend with children who are addicted, and how to make strong families together from the pieces that of that kind of tragedy. I mean, it's just amazing the different types of purposes that people have.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh my
I
goodness.
think, and in a point that you touched on, but I think it's important for people to remember, is the thing that you want to start doing. You know, sometimes we don't start it because we don't think it's important enough.
Exactly.
Right. But when you talked about the people that went from a tent to an RV and they were learning about RVing, and all they're doing is sharing what they're doing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and that's just it. You don't really need to be an expert anymore. You know, they say the expert is a guy who lives down the street, right? And so, you know, at our age, we can be mentoring younger people or even people our own age with what we want to do. Like Betty Mills, for example, I mentioned her, the gal with the horses. She also mentors people who want to learn how to develop gardens. You know, I kill every plant that I've attempted to put out. I've got a tree in the front yard that is on its last legs right now. And I've been trying to nurse it around for months, but she will invite people over to her house to go through, here are the plants that I had. Here's how I put them in here. Here's what you need to do to prepare the soil. Here's what you need to take care of the plants so they grow better and things like that. And it's just, you know, who doesn't want to learn new things, right? Usually. And now when you're a senior citizen, or seasoned citizen, as I like to call them, you have more time, often more money and resources available. Why not pursue some of these things that you've been putting off for many, many years?
Yes, absolutely. And Greg, I'm wondering, from the people you did interview and from your own personal experience, how important is it to believe in a higher power or the universe, or be spiritual, have some way to connect with the outer world?
Yeah, many of the people that I have interviewed have done that, just that. They are very faithful, a faith-based organization or people, and they credit that as one of the main reasons for realizing that they do have a purpose, that they were created with these unique skills and the talents that they've been developing over the years, and all of the life skills, everything that's happened to them, good and bad, through their entire life, has made them unique and put them in a different position, or in a position where they can use those experiences to help other people. So yes, I agree absolutely that faith has a big role to play in all of that, because when you come from the idea that you were put on earth for a reason, and you figure out what that reason is, and that reason is to help other people, it just changes you internally. It renews your mind, it keeps your body young, keeps you active, and I think it's absolutely essential.
I agree with you. It's yep. Go ahead, Annie.
And I was going to say, and you may not even realize what it is at the time. You know, at the time, it may just be happening so naturally that, you know, the sharing, the giving, the educating, that you don't even see it as, oh, this is my purpose. It's just you sharing the knowledge that you have.
Right. I was talking to a woman a couple of months ago. She was struggling. Her husband had died 2 or 3 years earlier, and it was a very painful situation for her, and she just really didn't know what she was going to do. But we started talking, and she loved to cook. It's one of the biggest things that she liked to do. She loved cooking for her husband. She liked having people over to her house to serve meals and things like that. And we said, why can't you do this right now? Why can't you find, and she was Jewish, why can't you find a group of people from your synagogue who are living alone and bring them over to your house, invite them over for a nice meal, and maybe they can each bring ingredients and you can teach them how to cook their own meals and just make a nice evening. And you might, who knows, you might inspire other cooks. And then she also raised 3 children on her own. And I'm like, then the problem that many single moms are facing is, what can I feed the kids that they're going to eat and that's going to be nutritious for them? So why don't you come alongside a couple of single moms and show them some easy to make recipes, because single moms are the busiest people on earth, but easy to make, nutritious recipes that their kids are going to like. And the more she thought about that, she said, well, that would be something that I could really do.
I think it goes from egocentric, where it's all about me, it's about it, to heart-centric, where it's about other people. It sounds like that's what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. I think the other people absolutely have to do that, have to be involved in it. And purpose is so important too, because when you're talking about longevity, for men in particular,
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, when they retire, there have been a number of studies that show if you retire at 55, you're usually dead by 65. It's just like, how could that possibly happen? And that's because when you're working, we're tied up with all of the status of having a job and the reinforcement that we get from that. We've got emails that need our attention. We've got meetings. We've got decisions we've got to make, people that we have to talk to. People are looking to us for answers, etc. And then we retire and it all evaporates. Absolutely everything. We lose the tasks. We lose the income. We lose the respect. We lose the prestige. And especially when men are forced out of a job too early, that can be devastating. Then they have to deal with feelings of abandonment and betrayal as well. And without purpose, they become grumpy old men. I know it's funny, but I wrote a blog on that not too long ago about grumpy old man syndrome. And it just seems as though without a sense of purpose, then these guys sit around the home all day. In fact, there was a cute cartoon not too long ago, I think I posted it on our Facebook group, of a man sitting in his shorts or standing next to his wife with a clipboard saying, oh, now that I've been retired for a couple of months, I've identified some things that you could be doing differently around the house. And, that's the problem. Without a purpose, then everybody else's business becomes their business, right? Their grass is too long. They brought the trash cans out too early or left them out too late. The children are making too much noise. It's just, and so I wrote this section for a blog, if I can read like 4 paragraphs for you. When the highlight of your week is to sit around a table at McDonald's with a dozen other grumpy old men rehashing the same world problems they did last week and telling the same stories from their heyday, then there's not much hope for things to improve. When you don't read books to improve your wisdom, knowledge, or insight, but stop whatever you're doing to read the latest news story notification that pops up on your phone, then your mind is slowly wasting away. When all you can do is send one spam email after another to your friends and family promoting the latest fear-mongering news story or silly video you just watched on YouTube, you are grasping for anything you hope provides validation for your existence. And when you put all of your hope in a person or a political party winning the next election or a certain team winning a championship game, then what happens if that situation doesn't turn out the way you hoped? You're left with even more depression and feelings of hopelessness. So the need for purpose is what keeps men and women active. I mean, there've been talk about diets, a nutritious diet, no smoking, moderate drinking, healthy weight loss, less stress, getting plenty of sleep. All of those are good. If you ask anybody, if you look any research at all on longevity online, you're going to come up with those suggestions. What they're missing is that without purpose, men want to die. They don't see themselves or their lives as having any meaning at all. And they eventually just give up and isolate. And that's the killer. It's a short route from that to their eventual demise.
And, this is really true. When my father retired, he was an electrical engineer at a big corporation, and he had to medically retire. So he had to retire early. Mm-hmm. For a medical condition, and his friends, and I don't want to be put a downer on this, but his friends were committing suicide.
Wow.
That had retired because that's all they identified with their lives was their work. And so he made the decision. He's like, this is not going to happen to me. And both him and my mom got part-time jobs at the golf course that they played at. And they worked like 2 days a week. Mm-hmm. He was the little patrol guy that went out to the course, make sure everybody was obeying the rules. And I think my mom worked like 2 days in the pro shop. But that gave them a reason to get up, gave them something to do, gave them structure to the day. And then I think they got their golf memberships free or something. I don't know. But again, it could be that simple.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
What was that expression? Oh, I'm sorry. What was that expression that you used about citizens?
Seasoned citizens. Yes. We've been around for a while and we've been seasoned by life. Yes.
I love that. And you'll see a number of seasoned citizens working in jewelry stores or in retail, especially during the holidays. It gives you a reason to get dressed up, put on a smile and have that socialization with other people, as opposed to, your point, sitting in front of a television or sitting in a little boat fishing. It's like, okay, we caught 2 fish. Now what's next?
That's right. Exactly. A friend of mine just did that. She had retired a few years ago and she was bored out of her mind. And she finally took a job working in a jewelry counter at a store, one of the department stores not too far from where she lives. And it's not much, it's just a couple of extra bucks so she can do something fun, maybe go to a movie or go out to dinner or whatever. But it's the fact that she has to get up, get dressed, and go to this work and do some work and interact with other people that just brings a smile to her face and gives her joy and just makes life more worth living.
And like you said about just bringing a smile to somebody's face, I think one of the people that you featured in your handout had to do with Moose Tracks ice cream.
Oh yes, that's right. He just worked for a company, and the company was providing ingredients to bakeries and confectionaries and things like that. And he put some ingredients together in an ice cream that they labeled as Moose Tracks, which I think is, if I'm not mistaken, has chocolate chips in it and peanut butter cups, if I'm not mistaken, in vanilla ice cream. And it became one of the best selling types of ice cream on the market. And he did that after he had turned 50. In fact, I think he was closer to 60 when he had done that. Mm-hmm.
Greg, I was having an aha moment as you were talking before, because you mentioned about people sending those spam emails about who's running for office. And I know people who are doing that. Now I'm realizing they're totally bored out of their minds.
That's exactly right. Their purpose is to scour social media and share their wisdom with everybody else. It's like, no, please don't do that. No. Go get a job if that's the problem, or if you're that bored.
Go create some new ice cream.
Yeah, or create a new flavor of ice cream. That's right. Do you want to talk about ways that people can find a purpose or identify a purpose for their life?
Sure, okay. We love that.
Sure. There are some questions that people can ask. For example, what could you talk about for 30 minutes without notes? And if you can answer that question, then you can become a coach. You can become a teacher or whatever the case might be, but go do that and share your knowledge and experience with other people. What do others tell you you're good at? Many times we don't realize how good we are until other people tell us that we're good at something, and then listen and maybe explore doing that. If somebody says, hey, you're really good at lawn golf or lawn bowling, for example, and you're doing it for recreation, now you can turn that into a purpose by teaching other people how to do it. So if you like to fish, you can turn that into a purpose by teaching other people how to fall in love with fishing. What did you want to do as a teen or young adult that you gave up because you decided on a particular career? Usually that's your internal spirit telling you to go off in this direction, that you were made for this kind of work. But how many times have a well-meaning relative or a good friend told us we have to be more practical? And so we give up on that idea, that dream, and we go do something else, and we start working for a company, and 30 years later, we start bored out of our minds at the job and wondering, what can we do to bring purpose to our life, or what can I do to be happier at what I'm doing? What would you do if you don't have to worry about time or money? Is there something that you would do that you've been thinking about forever? Now is the opportunity. I've talked to several people who have loved traveling, want to go traveling, and they're planning on it when they're older. And I think John and Kathy Huggins will tell you the exact same thing. Don't wait, because too many people are waiting until they're 65 years old to retire and go traveling. And by then they might not have the health. Their knees might be bad. Somebody might be to die already or just be incapable of doing it. So do it early. So they have developed or found a way to do that by becoming work campers, which is an organization that matches these people to short-term jobs doing a variety of things. And they go work 20 to 40 hours a week, or even less, and only for a couple of months as a general rule. And then they move on and do something else. If nothing changes in your life, what's going to haunt you on your deathbed? Is it going to be that you didn't finish the entire series of the TV show you're binging on? Or is it the fact that you had a purpose, you knew it in your heart, and you didn't act on it? What is that you're going to regret, and then work to fix that? Because that's the legacy you're going to leave. What do you want people to say about you when you're gone? And if your legacy is going to be what you did 20 or 30 years ago on a job, then you've missed an opportunity in your golden years or in your seasoned years to really make a difference on other people. What are some of your favorite hobbies? And what could you do if you focused more on them? For example, the Huggins, they loved camping. They wanted to be outdoors. And their purpose then became teaching other people how to love camping in their RVs and being outdoors. What drove you nuts at work when you were doing that? I hear some snickers over there, so you guys understand that. And perhaps solving that may be the solution, a widely needed solution, like some of these other people that we've talked about in the 50 over 50 book, who have gone on to develop businesses after turning 50 to address problems that they've had for many, many years. And what are you most proud of accomplishing in the past? And what is it about that you're most proud of? And is there a way to duplicate that now after 50, or tweak it a little bit in a different direction and apply that to something new that you could do? And finally, what's left on your opportunity list? Everybody has bucket lists. I call them opportunity lists because, that's just an opportunity for us to go out and try something new, learn something new, and take others on the journey with us.
Oh, wow.
What a great way to bring it all together, to give people concrete things to think about and then take actionable steps. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. It's passionate. It's become a very, very much a passion for me to help other people identify something they can do after they turn 50 that's going to make a difference not only in their life, but in the lives of other people.
So, Greg, thank you for sharing all of that.
Sure.
How can people reach out to you, and how do you actually work with people?
Very good. Forward from 50 is a platform that I'm developing, and I just basically starting this thing. I started the website late last year, and within weeks of starting it, came down with COVID, and that took me out for about 4 to 6 weeks. And I was just feeling better in early December when some friends of mine from Wisconsin showed up here in Arizona, and they stayed for 8 weeks. And so it took all of my wind out of my sails at that point. But the website and the blog are up at forwardfrom50.com. Now, the people that I've interviewed for the feature stories that people can read on Forward from 50, I'm going to turn all of that into a podcast called Passionate Purpose as soon as I can. In fact, I already wanted it up, but my goal is to have it up by the end of the month so people can listen to these people talking about their own stories, their way, in their own words. And I think that's just a wonderful thing. But the Forward from 50 platform right now has the inspirational stories about these go-getters over 50 who are pursuing new passion. And it's also got some links to some articles that I found that provide people with some good ideas on things that they can do to develop or pursue a purpose. Then from there, we're going to develop a community. We have one already on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and look for Forward from 50, there is a group that is open at the moment to anybody to join. Love to have you over there. We want a bunch of like-minded people who are not so much interested in what they can do to get more out of their cable subscription, but more about what they can do to have purpose and more joy in their life. And when we get those discussions going, it can be really fun. I'm working on developing some online courses to help people identify their purpose and take steps to pursue that. But that's going to be coming up later on this year. And then I'm also doing coaching because, I was stuck. And if it weren't for my mentor listening to me and helping me to identify what I'm passionate about, I wouldn't have developed Forward from 50 and I'd still be stuck. So I'm more than happy to sit out there and to sit and talk to people in a Zoom meeting or on the telephone about what they think their purpose might be, how to jumpstart that, or if they don't have any idea, let's go through some of these questions I asked earlier and see if we can't identify something common. That's what I did with the woman who discovered that a great purpose for her would be cooking for other people and sharing her love of cooking and serving them in that way. And I'd be happy to help people do that. And you can also download that complimentary copy of 50 over 50 right now. It's a book. It's about 98 pages. It's got 50 short profiles of individuals from all walks of life, all ages. I mean, there's somebody in there, I believe, in the 90s that have done remarkable things. And I think you'll just enjoy that. If you're looking to be inspired on what you could do for a purpose, that book would help. And it's absolutely free.
Yay. Thank you, Greg. Yay. Fantastic.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that.
I just loved your energy and your passion. And it just makes me want to get up off my chair. It's like men everywhere getting up off the couch going, I need a purpose.
I need a purpose. Yes, I hope so. I'd like to see that. I mean, and that's what we're doing. I've got probably another 20 people that I need to interview who've already said, I want to share my purpose, with other people because that's giving them so much energy and they want to tell other people what they did because they want other people to feel like they do. I mean, it's just nasty to be stuck in a situation where you don't have any hope or feelings that things are going to get better. And you isolate yourself. And COVID was horrible for seasoned citizens because we couldn't do anything. All the stuff that we had done for many, many years had all of a sudden disappeared. And it was just horrible. So the ability to come out and be with other people, pursuing a purpose, I think is going to be a game changer, a life changer for many people. So I really appreciate your time. This has been fun.
Well, thank you. It has been fun. And Annie and I both found our purpose over 50, right, Annie?
And I'm still finding mine over 60.
Yeah, me too.
Very good.
Yeah. So, I left my corporate career in 2020 and started doing this. So and I'm 59.
And was your corporate career in broadcasting?
No, I sold meetings and events and employee recognition programs.
There you go. Completely different from what you're doing. And what you're doing is you're sharing inspiration from other people with other people, which is inspiring them. So you're building a network or a tribe or whatever you want to call it of enthusiastic people who are out there changing lives and enjoying longevity, right? Because there's a big difference between just living longer. I mean, medicine and our health services have allowed us to live far longer than previous generations have. But it's more than just sitting in front of a computer or a television all day, right? It's just you living extra years. What are you going to do with those extra years? I mean, I just wrote a blog not too long ago. A friend of mine, his father had died a few years ago, and his dad was paying $10,000 a month for medicine to keep him alive. And it was like, when you look at that, it's $333.33 a day to keep you alive. So what kind of return on that investment are you going to have? You know, so if you now, before you need it, approach life from that same perspective, what am I going to do today to make my life worth it? I think it'll be a game changer for people.
Absolutely. I agree. It's been a pleasure having you here. You brought so much value and information. I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. So, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to just close out the show. Our next show is coming right up. But Annie, I want to spotlight you also. So let me take this down. Annie, tell us how people can reach out to you and who you'd like to contact you.
And anyone can reach me. The easiest way is just by email, and it's my company name, yourtotalbody@yahoo.com. And Loving Longevity is about being your healthiest today so you can stay your healthiest for all your tomorrows. And that's kind of like what getting your genetics is all about, is like find out what your divinely given blueprint is. It will have all the answers to everything you're supposed to eat, the exercises you're supposed to do, so that you can go work with Greg and go pursue your passions and your purpose. And then you'll know exactly what to do and how to keep yourself at your optimal health. So it's your genetics. It's 3X4 Genetics. I am certified by them to do your analysis. It's very easy. It's a cheek swab. You swab your cheek, you send the kit in, and then you and I get on a Zoom and we talk about your results and get you feeling better.
All right. Thank you so much, Annie. And I'll just make a couple quick announcements. Our next show is coming up. It's our 75th episode of Pet Psychic Ominous. So please do tune in. I know it will mean so much to her and also to me. And I just announced our 28th show, 28 shows a week. And here it is in case you're not aware. It's a show about nothing. What does that even mean? The name of the show is Rapping with Dr. JACALYN. This was the first show I started with on the radio, and I had it trademarked, and I thought, wow, I should really resurrect that. So if you are from the United States, there is a very famous show that was about nothing. And so this show is the same format, except we will just be sitting and having a chat. So whoever you are in the world, wherever you are, we're just going to talk about anything and everything and nothing. There's no script. There's no topic. It's just you show up and I'm there, and it goes from wherever. So go over to my website, usaglobaltv.com, and book your session for that or any of our other shows. All right. We're signing off for now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Dr.
Care.
Bye.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Bye.